Hey guys, it's Deborah. So I'm doing a part 2 to my last video. My last video was on the last Trump, and I wanted to just clear up with some people what that might mean, the last Trump, that we are raised at the last Trump. And I also wanted to share that the same voice that Jesus cried out with when he was on the cross and he was giving up the ghost, that word is the same voice that it says we get called up with. It said he gave up the ghost with a great shout, and that's phone. That word is phone in Strong's, and it is the same word that we get called up with, which is so cool. So amazing. So it says that God's voice is like a trumpet. John the Revelator heard God's voice as a trumpet, and there's just so much connection with this blowing of the shofar. Now I want to share an article with you with regards to this that is related to this Rosh Hashanah, this September. And so it's really related to our life right now. And I wanted to first share with you about the last Trump. And that's part 1. So if you haven't seen that, please check that out. That's my last video I did. But this is part 2 now that it relates to us in our actual life. So, well, that relates to us, but there's no time given here. This is really time sensitive. So I'm going to read to you about what's happening on the Temple Mount this Rosh Hashanah with relation to the shofar blast. I haven't talked too much about Rosh Hashanah, this coming up and stuff like that, the Feast of Trumpets and all this that's happening soon for certain reasons. But basically, I do believe the Lord will come on a normal day. I'm not actually looking for a feast day, and I'm going to go into that soon. I should go into it in another video. That doesn't say that he can't. That's just because of some things that I've learned and been shown and stuff like that. So I'm not super looking at that date or something like that. But we're just always watching, obviously, for his return and being ready. So, and being ready just means believing in your heart that he is Lord and confessing it with your mouth. Just that's being saved. That makes you ready. But you have to really, it has to be real, your relationship with him. You really have to believe in your heart and confess with your mouth that he is Lord. That's how you become saved. You can't just have lip service, because God will not be mocked. But whatever, we'll get into that. So anyway, the point of the matter is that this is a huge time period, like for a million reasons. Obviously, I don't want to give away everything, so I'm going to get into the article, but I do want to also address that, there's been talk of this second wave of the virus, and then you have all these prophecies, these fall prophecies. People are saying what's going to happen for the United States and things like that. So this is just a really huge key time, something that we're obviously watching for. But yeah, you know what? Let me just get into the article, and then I'll finish up talking to you guys when I'm done reading. Okay, here's the article. Breaking Israel news. Sanhedrin petitions to government to blow shofar on Temple Mount for the first time since temple destruction. This is crazy. Amazing. So let's read this. A petition is currently being considered by Prime Minister, which, if accepted, will permit a Jew to blow the shofar on Rosh Hashanah on the Temple Mount. This Rosh Hashanah. Since the first day of Rosh Hashanah is on the Sabbath, it will be the only place in the entire Jewish world that a shofar will be blown, and it will mark the first time since the destruction of the temple that a Jew will be permitted to perform this powerful act at the holiest site in the world. This is times we're living in, man. The Organization of 70 Nations, headed by Rabbi Hillel Weiss, and the Land of Israel Organization, headed by Aviad Vosoli, petitioned Prime Minister Netanyahu to permit the blowing of the shofar on the Temple Mount on the holy day of Rosh Hashanah. Visoli explained his position to Breaking Israel News. Jews are only permitted to enter the Temple Mount 5 days a week, Sunday to Thursday. This year, the first day of Rosh Hashanah is on Saturday, the Sabbath. According to Jewish law, it is forbidden to blow the shofar on the Sabbath except for on the Temple Mount. Sorry, my throat here. So we submitted a request to permit a group of Jews to do so, to blow the shofar on the Temple Mount on the first day of Rosh Hashanah. If they succeed, this will be the first time a shofar will be blown on the Temple Mount since the destruction of the temple 1,950 years ago. That's crazy. In contravention of the law, The Israeli police forbid any non-Islamic symbols, non-Palestinian national symbols, or non-Muslim rituals on the Temple Mount. This policy is an attempt to lessen Arab violence. Dignity and liberty. Vasoli emphasized that according to the Israeli Basic Law of Human Dignity and Liberty, which mandates equal and freedom of all religions, this should be permitted. He also noted that permitting Jews to perform this biblical commandment on the Temple Mount is consistent with Trump's peace plan, which states people of every faith should be permitted to pray on the Temple Mount, Haram al-Sharif, in a manner that is fully respectful to their religion, taking into account the times of each religion's prayer and the holidays, as well as each other religious factor. The formal request was also submitted to the Minister of Internal Security and the Chief of Police. They were promised by Friday, and if they do not receive an answer or their request is denied, the group intends to submit a petition to the magistrate's court. Not a legal issue. This is not a legal issue, Vasoli said. The law mandates that we are permitted to do this. I'm just going to go on a little bit more. Our demand now is to apply the one true sovereignty onto Zion, Rabbi Weiss said. Call out to the King of Kings with the eternal voice of the shofar to spread his kingdom to every creature. We are calling on the current Israeli government to take their role in manifesting the universal desire for redemption, which is the real mandate of the state of Israel. It is our role to enable all of the nations to pray before Hashem, God, literally the name, with one voice, as we did at Mount Sinai, like we did after creation, like we are destined to do again in the end of days, when the dead will be resurrected, the day of universal and true freedom. A shofar call to the nations. Blowing of the shofar on the Temple Mount of Rosh Hashanah is not a simple ritual as it is done in synagogues around the world. This is not just for the Jews who are there to hear it. This is a shofar call to all the nations of the world. Now more than ever before, we are crying out to Hashem to bless us with life, peace, and an end to plagues. Every leader in the world who cares and who sees himself as a representative of one of the 70 nations should call on Netanyahu to permit this to take place. As political process concerning Israel and the Temple Mount move forward, so much is being said about the Arabs, but not a word is said about the rights of the requiremets of the Jews in their biblical homeland and our holiest site. And no one is speaking about the true owner of the land and his kingship. One of the names of the temple was Bet Hatkiah, the house of the sounding of the shofar. Politics is nothing when it was compared to that. The binding of Isaac. Outside the temple, we blow a shofar made from the ram's horn. It is curved and reminiscent of the binding of Isaac. When the shofar was blown in the temple on Shabbat, Rosh Hashanah, it was a goat's horn. It was a call to freedom as hinted in Psalms. The high mountains are for wild goats. The crags are the refuge for rock badgers. Psalms 104:18. Blowing the shofar that is specifically to the temple is a cry out to God to prevent the division of his land and the loss of his house. This shofar will topple anyone who is set on dividing God's land and opposing the establishment of the house of prayer for all nations in Jerusalem, just as the sound of the shofar toppled the walls that stood between the Jews and entering the promised land. The plan. The petitioners plan on pursuing every possible legal avenue to bring about this monumentous act. If the Israeli government fails to allow the blowing of the shofar to take place, an alternative ritual will take place adjacent to the Temple Mount. As noted, since the holiday falls on Shabbat, Jewish law prohibits blowing shofar. However, the Sanhedrin has ruled that it is permitted, even necessary, to hold a ritual blowing of the shofar adjacent to the Temple Mount on the Sabbath of Rosh Hashanah. This is hinted at in Psalms. So even if they can't do it on the Temple Mount, they're going to do it beside it, even though they're not supposed to. So it's kind of like they're still doing it. With the trumpets and the blast of the horn, raise a shout before Hashem the King. Psalms 98:6. Okay, so I thought that was really, really amazing that in 1,950 years, they have not blown. The sound of the shofar has not come off the Temple Mount in that many years since the temple was destroyed. And here we are living in the day when they are petitioning Netanyahu to let it be blown on the Temple Mount. I mean, things don't happen as fast as we would like them to happen, but they're pretty fast. Like, things are happening pretty fast. Literally 2020 is almost every single day something new. And what does that feel like? Labor, birth pains, when you have big gaps in between contractions, but then at the end, there's no gaps. It's like every day there's something new that's not something small, something pretty significant. That in 1,950 days, 50 years, there hasn't been a shofar blast on the Temple Mount. I mean, that's really huge. That's, to me, declaring this temple is about to be built. And, they want everybody to worship on that temple, and that the 70 nations will rule there. I mean, we just know what that all means. Now, I'm not relating this to the rapture. I'm relating this to their coming Messiah and what they're looking for, which is the time of Jacob's trouble. It is for Jacob. So that time is for them. But we know when that happens, we're not here. The church is not mentioned past, I believe, chapter 4 in the book of Revelation, all the way until like chapter 19 or something. So I don't remember exactly, but the ecclesia, the church, it's not even there for Jacob's trouble. It's Jacob's trouble. So anyway, I don't want to get into all that, but his time is coming. Their time is coming, I should say. So that being said, my next video, I have a couple more, and they're more related to what we're looking for, which is the rapture. But this is still stuff that we watch because we can see as a timepiece. Just like when Jesus came the first time, the Magi were watching, and we're seeing all these things, these puzzle pieces come to play. So that's really, really huge. I don't know if Netanyahu will allow it. I just think that they said that if he doesn't, they'll just do it on the side of the Temple Mount, and that no other shofar can be blasted. That's kind of crazy that no other shofar will be sounded because it's the Sabbath. So it'll literally be just that one voice. And this picture actually I have here, it's called, "Is the Shofar the Voice of God?" And I found that funny when I was looking for an image for this video. Is the shofar the voice of God? Because my part 1 is all about how the voice of God sounds like a trumpet. So I just think he's just giving us all these breadcrumbs, these hints, and we'll watch and see if they let them do this. And who knows what's going to happen this Rosh Hashanah. Who knows, okay? So I've done plenty of videos talking about 2020 and 2021, and that being the end of the fig tree generation, and that's the 11th hour, and that we literally don't have, that's it. That's the 11th hour, is May 2021. That's when Israel, the 73 years is up. So then you have 7 more years to have Jacob's trouble. So yeah, I guess that's that. I just thought that was cool. Thanks for watching, and I hope it encouraged you. And stay tuned for my next video. I'm actually starting to record now as soon as I get off this one and upload it. And it's more related to our blessed hope, something really cool, and just a story I'm going to tell along with a video of this amazing vision this guy had. And then I have something else that's related to, again, heaven, Jesus, and what it's going to be like. So yeah, I just really try to encourage you guys because, just today I read the Bible verse of the day said that, the saints are long suffering, because I was like, Lord, this is too much. Things are too hard and whatever in certain ways in my life and everybody's life. And then he said they're long suffering. And then I'm just like, with you, I can do it, but not too much longer though, please. So anyway, that's that. Okay, so until next time, guys, we're going to talk again soon. And I hope you have a blessed day. And yeah, until next time, God bless and shalom.